Okay, we have reached the month of March. It is a new month, a new opportunity. So if you didn't do well in February, you have a chance to review, slow things down, practice, make sure that you understand maybe some of the moves that you made that were not the best, understand what happened with the market last month, and maybe start to prepare to look ahead. So again, a new month, a new opportunities for us, and I'm excited about that. As always, I do ask that you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. All will help me, um, and I will keep delivering as long as you are in favor of these videos and would like to see more. I'll keep sharing out. Thanks for everyone that's been joining the pre-market lives. I've only done two. That is a bit of a stretch to wake up early and get some lives out. But I will say they have been very helpful even to me to stay disciplined in my pre-market prep. Since I'm employed, I do need to make sure that anything that I'm planning to do is already prepped and set up. And if I'm able to make a move, I already know what those moves would be and what my focus is for the day because there's only so many breaks you can get in a workday. So, again, just keep in mind that you can always join those if I post them. I don't have a specific schedule at this time of when I will do them, but I may try to do them at least twice a week. Again, just to give us some insight, maybe for sure before we hit Friday, market open, and maybe a midweek check-in, we can do pre-market on, and we'll have those as lives. If you're not able to join, that's okay. I will always record them and then I'll just post them on this YouTube channel for you to look back prior to the market open. Since we're doing it at 5:30 Central Time, there's still plenty of time to watch it and see if you have any trade ideas from what I've posted. With that being said, anything that I cover is not financial advice. This is simply me doing what I enjoy doing, which is reviewing the charts, seeing what I can see, looking at what stocks maybe are trending up or down, the ones that are my favorite. So QQQ is definitely at the top of my list, and we'll look at a few others. As always, as we go into the week, we want to be aware of any economic data that could potentially impact the market. And so just for Monday, as you can see, we have some manufacturing data ahead of us. This would be a good opportunity to monitor that sector and see how they respond to data that will drop on Monday. We'll have more ADP employment change, S&P Global Composites, all of that is dropping on Wednesday. We have some mortgage data, crude oil. Is that all on Wednesday? So different sectors on Wednesday you can watch. Oops. We have jobless claims as always on Thursdays. More data, non-farm productivity. Let's see, import, exports, job cuts, balance of trade. Different feds are speaking throughout the week. And even on Friday, we have more data. So just be mindful of the data dropping. Look back in the past month and see, or in January, and see how the market has been reacting to this data because we now are in a new month. So expect some sort of reaction. All right, we're going to switch over to our charts. The first chart I had up was BAC. I actually noticed they had showed up on my screener. Definitely had a pretty good move on yesterday. Sorry, Friday, not yesterday. Friday. And so I just was looking to see what was happening with them. In fact, they did a really nice pullback, as did a lot of tickers that we were watching pull back really significantly. We formed a pretty cool double top here on daily. So you can see that one here, and then we have the second top here. And then from there, we just did a really strong pullback all the way to my 200 weighted moving average. As you know, I do have the wolf chart set up, so everything is already here on my charts for me. And so I have the 12 EMA, and then I also have the 200 weighted moving average. These two lines that you see here almost moving together will be our wolf trend moving average. So if I reference WTMA, that is the wolf trend moving average. As you can see, when we get a signal of an arc here, we get the pullback. When we get the inverse arc, you're getting that signal that the trend down is reversing. As we reclaim our EMAs, including our wolf trend moving average, we get a move up. Same thing happened here recently. We got the pullback on the daily chart, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a curve, so we might get that inverse arc signal. But again, this was a pretty strong move all the way to the 200 weighted moving average, which I'm just trying to see when have we been back here. Okay, so wow, yeah, so we lost that in August and pretty quickly hit some buyers once we did the pullback into the 30s. And we did a really nice move to recover the 200, the 12. As you can see, you get the arc here in this particular demand zone, and we pull back up. So anyway, we've touched the 200, recovered, touched the 200, recovered, as you can see the pattern here. And we've been pretty far away from it since the earnings around October. So we've been pretty far away from it since October, and we were able to finally get that retest. And immediately they got a really nice bounce. We'll need to see how we open next week and whether or not this will be a continuation. I will say that this stock has earnings on April 15th, so keep that in mind. We do have time ahead of their earnings and they may get some nice momentum. But when I look at the monthly chart, there's a few things that we can see. Um, One, we're at some areas of resistance that we need to push through because if not, we're looking to form a double top on the monthly actually. And so we're seeing a potential risk here if this plays out that will get more continuation at this high point of a pullback from the monthly chart. So we can't say that we're out the woods right now with Bank of America. Although they are above the 12 EMA, the trend is still up. We just need to see a continuation because right now you're getting a double top possibly forming on the monthly chart. We'll zoom into the weekly. And so you can see where we're at. We're in a supply zone. The supply zone has been a problem area where we have sellers positioned. So this is the area that bulls need to be aware of. So this has been around since 2021. We've came back to it in the year 2022, and we have not been back to this price range since 2022 until now, December 2024, following some nice moves ahead of earnings. And so we're just back there. The issue is, as soon as we hit it, we're getting those pullbacks, right? We're getting weaker and we're pulling back. But then buyers step in and we keep trying to push back up. We'll have to see how this all plays out. Again, we would like to avoid that double top on the monthly. So we'll hop off the weekly chart and move over to the daily. And I know I'm moving through this quite a bit fast, but that's just because I want to make sure we have enough time to cover a few others. All right, so from the daily, I've already talked about it. We've hit the 200 and did a really nice recovery. It could potentially get some moves ahead to test around 46.65. I'm giving rough numbers, and then we'll hit suppliers around 47.20. So there's going to be some choppiness in the midst of all of this. If they can break probably ahead of this 54, they'll have a cleaner move to go. You can see it probably here from the weekly. If they can break above 48.74, around $50, they'll hit some sellers around 54.25. Doesn't mean they can't break it. And if you just squeeze things in a little bit, outside of that, they would be breaking out. Let's just see. Yeah, they'd be breaking their all-time highs. So they're likely going to target, if they're going to continue a run ahead of their next earnings, if that's the case, I'm not saying it is, they'll likely target 55.08. Yeah, they haven't been here in some time, so to be back full circle, they're either going to form this double top and we'll get a pullback, or they can break out and start to head towards this supply zone here in the monthly. interesting setup. I think the perfect pullback was when they were pulling back from the 200 recently. If you were looking for a nice entry, your signal would have been, if I zoom in, you would have got a nice signal entry. Probably this candle here. This was also super bullish, and now we're playing at the 200. We do see again sellers ahead. Doesn't mean they can't break through that. Just means that it may get a little choppy once we get towards this area. And you would want to see this cleared. So reclaiming the 200, we got all the EMAs curling up. A good sign. And again, they could potentially target that high. Otherwise, this is not the move that will tell us that we're breaking back and trying to retest this high and potentially break out. We may just pull back again. So keep an eye on them. I don't get ahead of it. Just see what the week brings, what Monday brings for them. Otherwise, as you've seen what we did when we zoom into the daily and the 4 hour, we've had those really nice double tops. What happens here? Do we get a triple top? I don't know. Do we break out? I don't know. We just need to be mindful of what's ahead if you're going to plan to trade Bank of America. Not going to spend too much time on that one. Let's move on. All right, so we'll take a look at QQQ. And we'll look at it from the high of Thursday and the low of Thursday first. So high of Thursday was 519.07. The low was 505 cents. And then so the next day over was Friday. And so Friday gave a really nice bounce. I was actually anticipating this because if you're just looking at it, what QQQ did was pull back into a zone where we do have buyers interested. And so we've been here at this price and we see the reaction that happened. We pulled back again at some point in January and you see again the reaction that took place. Well, we just come back full circle. We fell to the 200, which if you just look back, this is we haven't retested the 200 on the daily, 200 weighted moving average on the daily since 2024, September 2024. And so we're just getting that pullback, right? We have not lost it. We're just kind of hanging on it. So as long as we're above that, can't say that we are in necessarily a significant downtrend. There is quite a bit of support in between here. The worry would come losing a 200 and losing 488. Not saying we'll even come back and test that low. I'm just saying that's when things can get a little bit sketchy here because of the drop that you see below before we reach another set of buyers on the daily. So ideally, what you want to see is 505 cents act as support. This would be significant support. And we still have that significant resistance around 519.07. As you can see, we had candles under it since Tuesday. We lost it as support, and we now tried to retest it at some point on Wednesday, failed, tried again on Thursday, and we failed again on Thursday. And so we did a very strong pullback, lots of opportunities on the QQQ as of last week. So we just have to kind of ask ourselves, what are we doing next, right? We want to see probably this change of character that I have on my chart acting as another area of resistance around 5.7, oops, sorry, 5.10, 15 get broken. We definitely want to see these EMAs catch up and price get above them now that we've tested the 200. Otherwise, we could get some consolidation around here, but as you can see, once we fall into those buyer zones, if you were in puts, you definitely didn't want to be holding at that point because we know that every time we've come back to about this price range, we found some support somewhere around here. And so that's why we have this green zone. Okay, so we'll see what happens on Monday. I do want to show an example of where if you measure the previous day highs and low, you can see what price does, right? So when I was watching QQQ, I just set some alerts, and on Thursday, at opening. Yep, right at opening. We had already pulled up from Wednesday's pullback. We had already pulled up to test an area that we were failing to break out of at during Wednesday. See, we tried it on Wednesday, pulled pulled back. Well, we gapped up pre-market and opened pretty high right at that same area of resistance, which we had already created a supply zone on the 5 minute. And as you can see, we got the wick. One, we got this really weak candle, and then we got this really extended wick rejecting this 519.07. Did it test it? Yeah, the exact high of this is 519.07. So that was definitely my clue of, okay, I see what we're going to do. That gap up basically was the test of resistance pre-market. And so although we did try to get through it, nothing significant happened and we pulled back. We never came back and tested it. So you received a pullback from like 519.07 all the way to the low of this candle, which was 507.34. You're pretty much done for the day. You could have been done with QQQ as I was at 9 a.m. You have your take profit, you're done for the day, you move on. Most of us are busy, so that's that. Well, you get all this consolidation, and then right around lunchtime, look what we get. We get arc confirmation. That signals some resistance because we couldn't break a recent high point in the attempt to break out and potentially go back and retest here. That didn't happen. We've always been under the 200 since, oh, let's see, at least February 20th, if I was just going back that far. I always say look to the left, see where we've been. So we've been under this 200 and in a downtrend from the 5 minute chart. Did a little bit of a breakout again, this 519 area. It's because we broke it, right? We broke under it. Nice sell off around the Tuesday, 25th, and we attempted to get back on it and break out. Wednesday failed. Did it again Thursday, and then you get your more significant sell off. So again, great moves on QQQ. I still look at 519.07 as a very significant area that we need to break out. We can do that, then we'll probably start moving up a little bit more and testing some of this area here. So keep QQQ on watch. I certainly do enjoy that one. That's the main trade because again, when you're busy, you just want to get in the market and get out before if you're starting your work day or whatever. You just want to make sure that if you're a busy person, something like QQQ and SPY can give you your move well before you even start your work shift. I mean, you can be done before 8:30. I mean, I'm sorry, before 9 a.m. Let's take a look at Meta. Meta's been a hot topic, so we will look into the charts. I go to the monthly, but you certainly can go further out. I'm just going to stop at the monthly and I'm going to delete this, prepare myself for a new week. That is a very weak candle we have right here at this top. And so when you start seeing candles like this or this, we're getting wicks, you might get some of the pullback. But as you know, we are at all-time highs with Meta, so we should expect some of these reactions as we get to all-time highs. And you see that buyers are getting weaker. And so this is what our monthly um, candle looks like for February. Not a candle I like to see right here. And so ultimately, after hitting a high of 710.79, I think this was following earnings, they just have not broken out any further. They did attempt. So we hit a high of actually 740. So that might have been the earnings reaction. Yep. This was the post earnings reaction right here. We hit a high of 740.91. That was in February. And then we hit a low of 641.86. Huge price range when you're looking at it from the monthly. Now let's look at what we're getting for the weekly. All right, so price is starting to move up under my wolf trend moving average. We have not received the crossover yet, but price is certainly under it from the weekly. And we actually pulled back to the 12 EMA and did a nice retest. This wick does give some hope. I do like this wick. And so you would have received a low of 641.86 in Meta, which could have been your entry point if you were looking to try to get in. But again, we're at all-time highs, so you just have to wonder, is support really going to hold around here? Which it basically came back and tested. Did it test it? 638.40. No, it really didn't test this area yet. I was thinking it would come back and test 638.40. I'm actually going to mark that on my chart. Measuring it from this candle here. So 638.40 came pretty close, but didn't. Nice wick, still sketchy. The trend is still good when you look at it, but these candles are telling us that we needed this pullback, right? Like we just really, this was a really bullet bearish candle that formed on the week of the 20 of the 18th, and then we just got to follow through here. But again, this wick, I'm not mad at it. I was expecting a test of this area 638.40. It didn't happen, but it came pretty close. We'll just have to see now if support is going to hold at 641.86. Price is closing really close to 657.57. So we're trying to stay above and keep some support. The Wolf Trend moving average is catching up to my price here, but all in all, we just need to make sure that for sure we don't lose. Actually, you can measure it by the high and low of Friday. And so now you have a new baseline of 642.60 as your low point, and you have a high point of 669.63. In that, that is a very large range to catch trades from your smaller time frames. So it does not mean that you can't day trade or catch any type of moves on a smaller time frame. It just means you got a pretty good range. If it breaks the high of this candle 669.63, obviously, in fact, it retraced really about half of this candle here, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Then you would get the move to retest potentially the high of this one, which is 688.65. Trying to reclaim the 12 EMA from that point, trying to break above. If you get price moving and testing this this gap here, then you just want to be careful. We may have a reaction here, which would be a slight pullback. Can't say if there's not enough buyers present, we won't push through this, but I'm expecting a reaction as we get closer to 706.44. Um, let's see, 718.04. Somewhere around that range, I'll be expecting some reaction where we could get some selling pressure for a bit. So the clearing breakout is when they can hold through this fair value gap and start to retest 5 points. Just can't say if that's going to happen. If you were using the wolf chart, then you knew once we got this arc, we were coming down to the 12. Losing the 12, then you got to go look for where we potentially have next support. You could even just measure it, as I've shared before, based on previous day high and low. Once you see that previous low is getting taken out, you got a clean signal that we're probably, if this doesn't re if the previous day low doesn't become support again, because we're going to measure it as support and resistance, high and low for the next day. And so even if you weren't using the wolf chart, we'll take it away for a second. When we were just looking at these candles right here, broke the low, kind of an inside day, but did close a little bit low. broke the low, broke the low, broke the low. Then we get this move, then we get another sell-off. It never could hold out. Let's see, where do we close? 665.24 on Thursday, and the move was 683.01. Didn't get to achieve that at closing. And then we had a day where we were able to reclaim some of this price action right here, this candle here. And so, like I said, I'm not mad at this almost 50% move here. So it took almost half of this candle out with this green candle. Again, I don't know where we'll go. We'll just have to see how we open. Now, if you want to just pop in some EMAs, if you're not using the wolf chart, I just want you to see that whether you're using the wolf chart or not, you still can have a baseline. It's as simple sometimes as just knowing that when price is above your EMA, you're getting a nice bullish trend, especially on a larger time frame. When price is above your 200, that's still a really good signal. So in this case, I do have the 200. I have the 200 EMA on, not the weighted moving average. Still going to tell the same story. Price is above your 200. Price has moved back and lost your, I think in this case, 13 EMA. And we're just getting back to trying to find support and see if we can reclaim this. So for my people that don't have the wolf chart, it's still okay. You just have to understand your EMAs and price action. And even if you looked at it from just measuring high and lows of your daily candles, you have a nice range to trade. Okay, so the story for Meta, pretty simple. I still think there's a chance we can come and test 638.40. However, we'll need to see if we get a follow through of this green candle, right? We finally have green candles showing up. We did test. This is again the 13 EMA, and we rejected. So, we have to see what happens. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on Meta just yet. All right. So again, you can measure your high and your low, trade the range from there. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. And then I have a few other bonus that I want to cover. All right. So how I knew not to even swing a put from Thursday on NVIDIA. I found that it was going to be really risky. One, we were falling back on Thursday right to a demand zone that is already there on my chart. So I already knew once we hit this, at some point, we're going to start getting buyers showing up to push us back up. Now, I also knew based on the day, if we ever lost this 114.53, we got a nice move down that we can get. That didn't happen. Actually, we reacted just the way I was thinking. And so, yeah, you probably could have swung puts. We opened at 118.02. I didn't want that risk. If anything, you wanted to be trying to find your entry point for a potential bounce. And actually, we had a $4 move. Nice green candle. Finally, a nice strong green candle. However, nothing is yet fully confirmed that we're out of the woodworks here. We still have the wolf trend moving average all the way up here. It hasn't caught up with price. We're under the 200 weighted moving average, and we're also under the 12 EMA. And if anything, we pulled back and tested a gap right here from this large sell-off. And so we'll just have to see again what Monday brings for NVIDIA. I don't like that we're under the 200 off the 12 and wolf trend moving average is still well above up here. So again, we got a reaction based on this. We did not knock out this candle. This is a huge sell-off, right? $11.13 would have to be We'd have to see NVIDIA above 135, basically 135.01 if you're being exact, and then we'd start to make some moves around 138, 141. And as you know, we have seller's position here from what you can see on my chart. Gonna zoom out for just a moment. These wicks are definitely insane. We're just struggling. Actually, we're getting a signal on the monthly that we might get that crossover on the monthly. So then that makes you wonder, is NVIDIA done pulling back? Do we get that crossover? Actually, the arc formation on the monthly chart, it's pretty close to happening. So then delete this off. We're starting fresh on a new chart, new day. And yeah, this is pretty close to a crossover. And then we get the full arc. And then that makes you wonder, how low can she go? In the month of January, we hit a low of 116.25 and did a really nice recovery all the way to 143.44. And as you know, for NVIDIA, earnings was nothing special. If anyone was hoping for like this crazy bull run, it did not happen. Support needs to hold from the weekly, what I can see as a significant level is 116.25. So NVIDIA could still pull back to 116.25. I do want to mark that on my chart. If we still get a follow through. This week was very promising. It definitely did test 116.40 here, and buyers were immediately there. As you know, we pulled back right to demand zone. If we lose that demand zone, then we have some worries, and we'll probably get to that 116.25 and maybe lower. I don't know. Lower could be around 106. I'm definitely not saying that will happen, but we'll have to see. So on the 4 hour, we do get the wolf trend catching up. We did get a nice move out of this demand zone. So if you were trading NVIDIA, the only side you wanted to be on for yesterday, Friday, was with the bulls. Nice move, $4 move for today. Most of it came from this breakout candle here. We're still well above, sorry, we're still well under the 12 to 200. And I even have this green line here, which is my anchored VWAP from their last earnings, and they were not able to reclaim that. So I can even pop one in a different color if I wanted to from the earnings here, and I'll just show you what it looks like when you follow the anchor VWAP. Okay, so earnings was on the 26th after hours. So we're just going to go in here and pop in an anchor VWAP to the 27th. And it's already here and it's blue. So previous earnings, this is the VWAP green, just giving an extra lesson in this video. Now we have an anchored VWAP from their last earnings, and price did come back to and test it. It looks a little different if you were using just this VWAP from a smaller time frame. So just look at it from the 1 hour. Even here on the 27 at opening, price did come to it, right? If you remember, NVIDIA did an interesting move, nothing of a breakout, but it did get a little bit of a bump and then pull back. Well, once we did that, we lost the earning VWAP, the most recent. We already had lost and tried to reclaim. It's acting as resistance, the past earnings VWAP. So if you're just looking at the VWAPs, you can see still nothing special unless we can get price above this one and then eventually get price above this one. So that's another way you can kind of follow the price action and maybe make some decisions on your trades. Still support at 116.25. They did attempt to reclaim their earnings VWAP, but to me, they would need to be above it. Because even when we've tried, we've had wicks, we've tested, rejected. We need to see something special like them actually holding price above it. And that can be done if you just follow your 5-minute charts. And when you're in your 5-minute chart and you already have your anchored VWAP on there, we're here. Now the question is, do we open still above this VWAP or not? And that will be to be determined. Price did hold after hours. I mean, nothing special. Nothing special, nothing above this 125 or so area. So you just have to keep that in mind. We'll have to see how we open on Monday and whether or not we're going to hold above the VWAP if you want to follow that. Use your ORB, incorporate maybe VWAP, your EMAs, go from there. Okay, get back to my wolf chart and we will move on. So I did want to cover sound. They had a nice little buzz. I did have someone from the Discord actually put on alert for me, sent me an alert on sound. And so I did take a look at it. So if you're watching Sing Oh My Soul is the username. She did alert me that she was watching sound, had a nice entry point, and so she should have done pretty well on Friday with sound because they did a nice move. Still nice moves ahead that they can make if this continues. So they had earnings on the 27th. Nice. They did beat their revenue, but they did a miss on their actual earnings. I don't know what their guidance was. I actually didn't look into it, but we'd have to see. But apparently, from earnings, they are getting a pretty strong reaction. We're almost getting the crossover on the Wolf Trend moving average. We do have price above it, but we haven't got the inverse arc. We also have price testing the 12 and 200. And if they were to gap up, you want to see them break the high 1095 and look for a test of 1192. After 1192, look for a test of 1241. Above 1241, you get a test of 1271 and a breakout from there to lead you to this supply zone. So just a few levels you can watch. I'm just measuring it off a few candles that I'm seeing. With the wolf chart, we already have previous lows and highs. I do measure those as support and resistance. But again, I like that this was a nice strong move here to signal a potential breakout. Price did close above the high. So even if you just waited for the break above the high, you can see how close we were to the 212. So that's what it did. It tested here. Question is, would it test? Do we reject and pull back? Is there any news? Okay, so they had an upbeat outlook. So they had pretty good guidance ahead. And that's likely what the market was waiting on. So although they did miss their earnings, buyers have stepped in from here. They reached all-time highs in December, and they just haven't broke that high. So we pulled back on the monthly chart to the 12, right to a fair value gap on the monthly chart. Keep them on watch. If you were simply just do another quick lesson, because I know we have people that are new that are watching, that again have a different system they use or just still trying to find what system works. Well, if you're not there yet with the wolf chart, if you just pop on some EMAs, right, we'll just do it the D-Fresh way, is what I call it. Get the 9 on there, get your 200 on there, and you could even do your 20. Some people like the 5 instead of the 9. Whatever works for you. If you're going to use your EMAs and follow that, that's all great because you still see at opening on sound, this was your opening candle. If you played ORB on opening candle, which is the high and the low, just like we do on a daily, You measured on your 5 minute, you got your breakout here on sound right at the break above 935 and a hold. It actually should have did a retest. We're going to make time to go through this chart just so you can see. So 935 would have been your price on sound. That's your high opening candle. And then the low of that candle was 896. 896. You can draw a box if you want to. For me, I just do the lines. It doesn't matter as long as you know your high and your low. So from there, we're just going to do a replay. We're going to replay the opening so you can see the signal, right? So we're going to come here and we're going to focus our eyes here and then start watching the candles move. We tested the 896. Here's the breakout. Get above the 200. And here we're just breaking out. We're just on our way up. Pull back and test your, I think this is maybe my 9. Tested a 20. Getting like a double top right here. So if you're not familiar with this feature in TradingView, this is just a replay bar. So when you're taking trades, maybe you just want to understand why my trade didn't play out the way I thought it would. What did I miss? Take an opportunity to go back and use the replay button to replay. Or maybe you're looking at a strategy and you want to test it out. Well, you can set your chart up and then go back and do your replay. Nevertheless, sound, even for my small account people, gave a nice move that you could have capitalized on. So keep them on watch. I think they still could have some potential moves ahead if buyers keep stepping in here based on the fact they had good guidance. For me, I would have looked at the signal. We're above my EMA, wolf trend moving average. We're breaking out. We're breaking out. Close my position somewhere around here with the signal. And you could even pop in my Wolf Level Pro, which gives me support and resistance automatically there. Then I know that this would have been my target exit. So from here to here, nice moves. And that's your trade. So yeah, we could have broken out of this resistance and then made some more moves up. We might see that on Monday since we didn't see it on Friday. So keep sound on your watch list. Pretty good moves here. I'm not going to cover SPY. Quite a bit of pros cover SPY and Tesla. We will look at Microsoft. Now, I think there was some news about an outage on Microsoft over the weekend. I did see one of the Discord members share that. Delete this off my chart. All right, so what do we have? We fell into a demand zone. Yep. So we fell into an area on the weekly chart where buyers are positioned, and we got a really nice wick at some historical support that I have on the wolf chart. So we've been here in January of 2024. We've been close to this around April, August, and we're back at in February. It's kind of been in a box if you look at it that way. Since we broke out here, over 390.68, we've been trading in a range of that plus about 556. So this has kind of been the trading range. There's been no real breakout of this range. Again, we're looking at it from the weekly, but as you can see, it's just been a box. Doesn't mean you can't trade it, find nice setups, entry points. I'm just saying that's just the box has kind of been in for a bit. Wow, we wick right out of this demand zone on the daily, but we recovered. Friday was a seems to be a recovery day. I don't know. I can't say recovery. I mean, I'm not sold on anything until we reclaim some of these EMAs on a larger time frame. To me, it all just means that these are nice trading ranges that you can catch until proven otherwise. I really would like to see them start to break back above this resistance around 401 and hold there and then see where we go. So if you were trading Microsoft, obviously measure your high and your low candle would be my recommendation. They do still need to break out of 405.74 and also above 401.92. So you want to get that break over 401.92 and holding and then a test of 405.74. Look to see if we get our EMAs curling, giving us a signal that yes, we are getting that move back up, and then maybe we could be sold from there. But as you can see, we're getting a nice signal here, but then we got to sell off. So it's still to be determined with Microsoft. Just looking at it, I thought we'd get that breakout here. Once we got the 12 EMA reclaimed or tested, we just rejected and pulled back right to this demand zone. Zooming out, where can we go? Yeah, it's been holding pretty well above this price. It's been holding above 389.17. I would put that as a key point, 389.17. As long as price doesn't get back that low or lower, and we're closing above 389.17, then maybe there's still a good chance that we are actually recovering. I say recovering, but at least testing some key resistance. So again, you can find some nice trades within Microsoft. Um, we don't want to start getting any lower than that. They did do a low point here, 386. Okay, that's Microsoft. And it's still to be determined. I don't know how they're going to react to again that news from the outage, if that had any impact. And they don't have earnings until April 29th. So just keep them on your watch. They are at a discount, but can we get them even lower? That is the question. We are well off the 200. We got the nasty debt cross right here. And so we need to start reclaiming some EMAs. You can watch that from the 2 hour, the 4 hour. I like the 4 hour. So let's see. Yep, still nothing. Other than we know where support is for now, but still nothing signaling a move that we should just load the boat. The 3 hour, we're testing the 12. Can we get above it? And again, start to move and test some other resistance areas. So again, I'll leave it at that with Microsoft. I had a few others. Let's look at MRK and let's also look at WBD. MRK, I had on my list. They are making some nice moves. Let me add the Wolf Pro just to see where we're going. All right, yeah, so we're going to test this candle's high, right? So this candle's high is 93.06. We are at closing 92.22. Now, the thing that we need to do is break above that resistance, and then we need to come test and reclaim the 200. Oh, and I'm on a 3 hour, so I do want to actually zoom out for a second. Wow, really nice wick right here. I don't remember when I plotted this, but really nice wick on this candle right at 82.44. Nice recovery. I think I plotted this when I was just trying to see what they would do post earnings. I should have thrown an earnings VWAP on here. Earnings was on the 4th. And so from the monthly, They did come and test this trend line that you see here on my chart. So here's the start of that trend line. Here's some bouncing on and off of it. And then here is a test of it in a really long wick all the way to a nice support area. This would have been a really nice entry point on FANG, honestly, when you've seen on the smaller time frames that candles were holding. A bit risky because we still could have came back here, but I don't know. I would have potentially thought this would have been worth the risk if I seen candles holding above it. That was 82.44. So that's the monthly candle. We'll zoom in a little bit more. And when did we get this pullback? Oh, so this was Tuesday, the 18th on the weekly, the week of the 18th. We got that pullback, a really nice one. Um, on the weekly, we are again trying to reclaim some EMAs. We do have a supply zone ahead around $99 on the weekly chart. Something to keep in mind. Um, this previous week's chart, I mean, this last week's chart, candle did close above the price of this one. Something to keep in mind. That should act as support. That is 89.53. Nice V pattern. So we got the earnings pullback. Earnings was pre-market. Pop that in here. Price did get above the earnings VWAP when I plug it in. We did get oh my gosh, this was really a nice entry. And I had my eyes on them for earnings and I should have set my alert because once I would have got the alert, the crossover, let's look at the move. We reclaimed the earnings VWAP if you want to follow that. And then we also reclaimed the 12. And from the daily, you see where we can kind of get some nice bumps all the way to what I'm thinking is that 99 area. They'll have to test some resistance here around 97. But if they can break this high point next, 93.06, we do have a nice move to 94.48. And then I will look at here, 95.15. Look to get that test here. The 200 is well up here. Doesn't mean we can't come back and test it. They don't have earnings again until the 25th, but as you can see, buyers definitely bought the dip here. And so where you could think they might have fell back to this zone, it didn't happen. And man, if I would have did what I was supposed to do and set my alerts, I would have had a nice entry point on this one. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We'll leave it at that. I'm seeing some nice clean path. I do want to put the pro on just to see strike price of a 95 if we get price above here. 95, 94. And we're at 92. And we can test this 96 to 99. So I'm throwing out some numbers. Start it out for yourself. I do wish I would have had this entry somewhere around here. I mean, it was just perfect. What was the other I said I wanted to look at? WBD has been on my list of movers. Pretty affordable for shares. And earnings posted when? When did we get earnings? Okay, so earnings was pre-market on the 27th. And they wick right at the 200 on the weekly. Right at the 200, right in the supply zone. Um, from here, it's a bit of a chop mess up until a breakout of 1270. Yep, 1270 exact. And then we can probably get to this 1350 area. Above the 12 EMA on the weekly, above, and we're getting the crossover on the Wolf trend moving average. We just could have some shaky grounds on this in the supply zone on the weekly chart. Remember, supply and demand zones on the weekly chart or higher time frames act much more stronger because we can crush through one on the 5 minute with just the right amount of buyers. It takes a little bit more time to break one down on a higher time frame. So where they closed was in a range from the previous day. I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm just going to put them on your radar to see if they can do a breakout. If they can get out of this supply zone right here, 1270, and start to push maybe to test this $14 area. So we'll have to see what earnings brings. They're in a supply zone already on the weekly, and they could do some bouncing around here. What we want to see is a breakout from here. Breakout from here to here. And if you zoom out on them a little bit, the real breakout is when they get above 1634. Then they'll come to 1772 to $20, potentially 23. If that was the move, if bulls show up, we're getting the crossover on the monthly already. And so again, we know why we're doing this. We're in a weekly supply zone. They still have some nice potential moves. Obviously they didn't sell off from earnings. They've got some increase in price targets from different firms. And so yeah, they're getting some buyers in here. Last ticker, Palantir. All right, what a rejection at their all-time high. So all-time high is 125.41. I mean, Palantir has been nothing but beautiful. So let's just move in a little bit. Price pull back to the 12 EMA on the weekly. We do want to keep holding support around 85.22. And I'm actually going to keep that 85.22 on my chart. We need to hold above this. We need to keep holding and have this as confirmed support. And then we need to probably break out around 109, 108.72. And then just keep pushing our way above if we're going to have that retracement back up. But we're kind of getting price, we are getting price under the Wolf Trend moving average, but we're at the 12. So we just have to see how this all plays out. So the low that Palantir has given us so far in this recent pullback, one price closed below the low price of the previous week candle, which was 95.80. Price closed last week at 84.92. So still a little sketchy. Palantir is a great company as well. So just keep that in mind too. I think maybe we just hit that all-time high. Where could we go? Hmm, let's see. We worked hard to try to reclaim 85.22. This is what I saw. In fact, we did touch it, right? 85. Actually, we touched 85.18. So we didn't actually get, did we? 85.18. Oh, so close. But I have it on my chart as 85.22. I'm sticking with that as my key support resistance that need to turn support. Um, Now what we did do was close above the low of the previous day, which was 84.17. So what I would do is also mark that as an area to pay attention to. 84.17. And then outside of that, you're just going to follow this low because we could still sell off again and come back to the 78.58. So that's your low point. Um, we probably could also do 82.48. But again, this is a wide range to trade from. I mean, from the low of 78.58 to the high of 85.18. That's a pretty wide range from a daily candle. It's like this one. You see that Palantir probably, where they open? They opened very low, right? They opened pretty low, got the wick, and price just moved up. So this was a nice move up. However, we have not reclaimed any significant EMAs. They're all pointing down, and the 200 is sitting here waiting for price. That could still happen. I'm not in favor of bulls or bears, but this looks a little bit better. So right here, what are we getting? We still have our 12 EMA pointing down, trying to catch up with price. We have fell to the 200 weighted moving average, and price is trying to get above and hold on my 4-hour, the wolf trend moving average. That will give us a nice retest of about 91, 93, and then maybe even 95, and then so forth. Nice clean potential moves here. Let's see what the wolf toe is picking up for resistance. Yeah, I mean, if we can reclaim the 12 from the 4-hour, we have some nice moves. 109.95 would probably be that area to really pay attention to for a break and hold. And then we can start to push our way back, test this trend line, break above it, with a supply zone, see if we break out. Otherwise, again, as you can see where that 200 is sitting on the daily, it's a little sketchy. All right, so this video, I don't want to take it too much longer. This is the verdict on Palantir. I would personally just look at the range, see if they start to hold that support and reclaim 85.22. There is definitely some resistance all right here. It'd be a chop mess above 92.71. Even better above 93.62. Then we test 96, 95.83, and then 95.80, and then so forth. We could keep moving there. But buyers definitely did jump in to try to get price moving back up. We just have to confirm that all of this is holding, and then you might get the right signal that Palantir is back uptrend, trying to test some of their resistance. The 200 is really important for them to start reclaiming as well. If we just take a look at them from the 5-minute, all right, so we opened pretty low. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This is Thursday. Nope, this is Friday. We opened pretty low. Look at the gap down. And immediately this triggered some buyers immediately because this has been here untested since February 3rd and January. So we have been far away. Nice gap up from earnings. And so we kind of closed the gap too. And so, yeah, I just would watch them. It could be a bit choppy in some of this range, but 85.22 is going to be the level I stick with. That's my key support. 84.17 would be another one if we did pull back a little bit lower. And then we just go from there with our charts. If you were using the wolf chart out of this demand zone, nice confirmation pops with these strong green candles. Get the arc here, and then price moved all the way to 84. And then it kind of did a little bit of consolidation, nothing too crazy. All right, so if you're looking for the wolf chart, I will have a link in the comments that you can reference. I will also link a Discord that you can come to and follow me as I drop my different setups and what I'm watching for the day. Otherwise, I will chat with everyone in Discord. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave it in the comment section of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful week.